You are tuning into Mad Genius Lab. You better stick around because we are talking about some of our favorite smart kitchen equipment. Good morning, everybody. My name is Justin Chapple. I am the culinary director right here at Food & Wine, and I'm your host of Mad Genius Live every week. Welcome to the show. If you're following along, please hit us up with your questions, your comments, using the hashtag Mad Genius Live. We will do our best to answer them either during the show or after. We've got a really fun show today featuring some really kind of fun, high-tech pieces of kitchen equipment that we're really excited about. And the first one actually involves a guest. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce you to Andrew Shearer. Andrew, you are with FarmShelf right here in Brooklyn, New York, which is where your offices are located. So if you guys can see, right behind Andrew, we have what is known as a FarmShelf. It's basically an indoor system that is it's an indoor farm. That's basically what it is, right?
Yeah, we wanted to make it possible for anyone to grow their own food, and so we created FarmShelf.
It's really cool. So I think, as you can see, it has plants in it. We've had this in the Food & Wine test kitchen here in New York for a couple months now, a few months now, actually quite a long time. And we actually got to start out with the first unit that we helped you guys kind of test out in a space like a test kitchen, and we've grown a ton of different produce. We've grown herbs, we've grown lettuces. Yeah. So why don't you first kind of tell us a little bit about how this works?
Yeah, so the way FarmShelf works is we automate the hardest parts of growing your own food, giving the plants exactly what they need when they need them. The nutrients, the light, the airflow, actually pulling CO2 out of ambient air to help the plants grow faster. And so with that, and what you're seeing right here, is all that coming together to grow the best tasting, most nutritious produce possible. And you can attest to this, hopefully. I hear you like to sneak mustard every once in a while.
Oh, yeah.
The flavors are great.
They're really great.
It's been a lot of fun.
You can kind of see here, we have a variety of different things. And so what we've been doing is, FarmShelf, on Andrew's team, they actually have plant scientists who have, basically, we work with them to kind of decide like what we want to grow in the Food & Wine test kitchen. And right now, I mean, do you want to tell people what we're growing here?
Yeah, right here we're growing some lemon balm, Genovese basil, a red butterhead lettuce, mustard, and then thyme.
And this is pretty much what we picked in the kitchen because we use thyme a lot, so we want some of that. I actually happen to love, to Andrew's point, I love mustard greens. So we've been growing mustard greens, and what I love so much about the ones that come out of the FarmShelf are, you can get them when they're small or when they're like, I don't know what you call them, baby mustard greens?
Yeah, baby mustard greens or micro. Some people would go if you go even smaller.
Right, and they're so tender, and then the older they get more spicy, so we can use it for a variety of things. But so, I mean, is it safe to say this is like a hydroponic system?
Yeah, hydroponic system with all the hardest parts automated.
Okay, so how did, what made you want to build this?
Yeah, kind of a funny story. I was working at Pinterest and started collecting Pinterest boards about how to grow my own food. Realized that it was something I really wanted to do, but there was just a lot of misinformation out there, and no one had made it easy. And so set out with a team to make it easy and possible for anyone to do. We've been working with some amazing chefs and restaurants, taking the technology that we've pulled together that really makes it easy and iterating on that so that eventually it won't just be chefs and restaurants, but eventually in your home.
So what are some of the, because I know we talked about this before we went live, but what are some of the chefs that you guys are working with, whether it's in their restaurant or if you have any programs that you're developing with chefs?
Yeah, so we've been working with chefs in Washington, D.C. and New York. Jose Andres at Think Food Lab and Beefsteak, helping him grow certain things that he can't get easily, including a marigold right now that we're growing for a taco concept.
Which I think we're getting. Are we getting the marigold? We have Cody over here. Cody's our plant scientist. She comes every week, and she kind of like tends our garden and brings us what we need. But we're going to have marigold, and then I think we switched up last minute. But
yeah, and so a lot of these things that we've been testing, specifically with the Food & Wine test kitchen, getting their feedback and figuring out what's the right plant recipe to grow it in the way that tastes the way they want, or accentuates certain aspects of the plant. And so with that, also working with Marcus Samuelson and Klaus Meyer, growing food actually on site at their restaurants.
Wow, that's incredible. And so I want to talk a little bit about the technical side of it, but what does it mean so how do you envision going from working with chefs in restaurants and stuff like that to something that maybe somebody watching now can possibly have in their home at some point?
Yeah. So with working with chefs and restaurants, it's really, they're prosumers. They're the ones that, are depending on high quality ingredients every day and really obsessing about them. And so taking their feedback to improve the product, as well as thinking about the Lego blocks to grow food anywhere. So today, this is a unit that is perfect for a restaurant, or tomorrow it's, something that's either built into your kitchen or that can mount to the wall in a way that's easy to use, but also beautiful in your living space, in your dining room. Yeah.
And we actually, so our Food and Wine test kitchen, which you cannot see it because it's not on camera, we actually have a really big glass wall that opens up to kind of like our whole entire company. And so people are constantly walking by and like snapping pictures. And we can't tell if they're taking pictures of us in our kitchen cooking or if they're actually taking of the plants because they're really beautiful. So one of the things you cannot see on camera is that this thing actually has its own cameras. So on every shelf at the top of it, it has a light system that is controlled remotely. And what I learned throughout this process is that the light actually really does matter. And I think at one point we didn't have enough red in the light or not enough blue. I don't remember exactly, but it like changed how our plants grew.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so the FarmShelf team, all the way from Brooklyn, actually can watch the camera and see what our produce looks like, and they can make adjustments remotely to either the light or to I guess the water, like when it...
The nutrients in the water, the spectrum of the light that the plants are getting, mimicking different aspects of nature in a way that grows the best tasting produce. So more blue light when it's young to keep the plant compact, more red light when it's older. And taking that data and not only using it to improve those plant recipes, but also to provide you guys with gifts or a time lapse of your of food growing, so that you can share that and experience the joy of growing that food in say 20 to 30 days in 5 seconds.
That's really cool. I think we should try some of the. Okay, we're gonna try the mustard because it's my favorite. And so, do you want to pick some off? So I literally do this all day long. I just like walk over and I pull leaves out just like this. This obviously just looks like a little lettuce leaf. You picked me a nice tender one. I like the big ones because they're really spicy. It's mustard greens.
It's mustard greens, and they taste so spicy when grown properly. And so being able to even play with those flavors with different settings, with different nutrient combos, and different light or air settings.
That's really cool. So we're gonna harvest some of this stuff because we've got a whole show ahead of us over here where we're gonna show some of our other favorite pieces of kind of really smart kitchen equipment. So I'm gonna let Andrew kind of demonstrate how you harvest it. You're gonna give me some lettuce because I'm gonna use it for some salmon I got going on over here. And then I'm gonna use some thyme also for the salmon actually. So look at that. You could see that it's literally an entire head of, what kind of lettuce was this again?
Red butter head.
Red butter lettuce. It's really tender and it's really beautiful. I could just keep eating it before we get over to the salmon.
And so with the way we're growing, it uses less water, 90% less water, and also grows 2 to 3 times faster.
That's crazy.
Because of the way that we're giving the plant exactly what it needs when it needs it. Think about, you're running a marathon and trying to drink from a sponge versus drinking from a water bottle. It's a lot more efficient and easier. And
he's not lying because I will literally pick off mustard leaves and then we come in like a day later and the mustard is already growing again. I love it. Andrew, thank you so much. Andrew Shearer is from FarmShelf. It's located in Brooklyn, but you can find out more about FarmShelf and the future of FarmShelf at farmshelf.com. Stick around because I'm heading over to this side of the kitchen to meet with Kelsey, Food and Wine's Test Kitchen Manager, because we are gonna talk about some induction burners and some really cool other pieces of equipment. So I'm gonna head over there. Andrew, thank you so much. I will see you soon. Okay. If you're just tuning in, welcome to Mad Genius Live. Follow us all over the internet using hashtag Mad Genius Live. Andrew, thank you so much. Andrew's from FarmShelf. Check out the FarmShelf at farmshelf.com. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have not met Kelsey Youngman yet, this is our test kitchen manager here in New York City for Food and Wine. And I'm happy to have her on the show. She's been on the show a couple times before. I think judging some things. Mostly drinking and blowing air horns.
Yes, I won't make as much noise today.
But Kelsey's joining me today because we wanted to talk about some of our favorite new smart kitchen equipment. I have Kelsey on here today because she's versed in some of this stuff more than I am, but also because I haven't had a chance to cook with her on camera.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're doing today. So basically, with this episode, we just wanted to show some of the really fun, kind of brilliant things that are happening in the food world, like the FarmShelf that we just showed you a minute ago, but also some of the other, and obviously we only have a few on here. We're only showcasing about 3 or 4. There's a lot of really smart stuff that's happening out in the world, specifically for home kitchens, and we're just gonna show you some of them today. So first and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna talk about the Hest Q, right?
I'm really excited about this one. We've gotten to play with it a bit in the test kitchen, and it's really smart, and it actually works, and it's helpful. So it's this induction cooktop. It's a pretty small footprint, which is nice. And it comes with this pan.
I almost flicked this chicken breast out of here. I'll hold the pan. I was gonna play Vanna White.
Yeah.
But I was gonna hold the pan for you while you talk about it.
So the great thing about this setup is you have the induction cooktop. It talks to this pan through a thermocouple. You'll see this Hest Q right here in the handle, and it's actually connected to the whole pan, so it knows how hot the pan is.
So basically this there's a thermocouple wire, which is basically an instant read thermometer that's built into the casing of the pan. And so that mixed with this speaks to
the app. So the app is beautiful on our lovely test kitchen iPhone.
Yeah, this
My
is our
Vanna
test
White
kitchen
will
phone.
show it to you.
It does have a crack.
Yes.
Because this is a kitchen.
Because it's a real phone.
So why don't you tell everybody so like Kelsey mentioned, the smart induction burner speaks to the smart skillet, and both of them speak to the pan.
Right.
I mean, I'm sorry, to the app.
And the app is preloaded with tons of recipes, and they all have video walkthroughs. So they take you step by step through each recipe with a video demo of what you're supposed to do. And it also adjusts the recipe to your cooking time because you tell the app when you've completed a step. So it's kind of a personalized recipe to guarantee really great results. So today we're gonna make some crispy skin salmon.
And this is kind of a test because we actually had Caroline, one of our social media editors, come in when we first got the Hest Q, and she made a cape. Yeah, she made a cape. She made a crepe for the very first time ever, and it was like flawless using the app. So we thought, because we haven't tried cooking fish on it, I said to Kelsey, I was like, why don't we do salmon, and we'll follow the instructions per the app, and we'll just see how it goes. And it'll be like a test, right?
Yeah.
Because this is a test kitchen, and we are testing out the Hest Q. All right. So we have the recipe up, crispy skin Atlantic salmon.
So you'll see it shows you a picture of what you're gonna get. You choose the number of servings. We're gonna do 2 today. And if you keep scrolling down, it'll give you a breakdown, just like any recipe, of the time and ingredients. And it also has the steps written out, so you can get a kind of preview of what you're gonna be doing. So we're using the pan,
so we
2
have
servings.
2. We've selected 2 servings. We've selected that we're using the Hest Q pan, right? That's what that means.
Yeah.
And so we hit get started. So let's see what it tells us to do. Searching for your device.
So it uses Bluetooth to connect the phone to the pan.
And I saw it blinking, so are you supposed to turn it on?
So you push the on button, and then it'll tell you to.
So it's saying remove the salmon from the refrigerator. Okay, so we
Done.
did that. Next step. Portion the salmon. Next, we did that already, obviously. You can see we have beautiful salmon here. Place the Heston pan on the burner. Okay, so we're doing that. Next step, and as you can see, you can like go through this as quickly as you would like.
Right.
So how thick is your salmon? I would say, we got a little ruler here, the cutest ruler I've ever seen in my life.
Ruler,
So let's,
which is really helpful. So I'm gonna go to the thickest part of the salmon, and I'm gonna measure.
What is it?
And it is a little over 1 1/4.
so let's do 1 1/4. And what I would say is just guesstimate. Well, I would say
Or
like,
be really precise with the ruler, whatever you want.
okay, so 1 1/4 inches. Next step, we want, should we do medium rare or medium?
Yeah.
We want medium rare because we like medium rare salmon, so we're gonna hit medium rare next step. Okay, let's talk about basting.
So this recipe is gonna include some basting to get that really beautiful crispy skin.
Wait, it's saying push the next button on the burner.
There we go.
Okay, so if you look here, this is your power button. You control your temperature there, but because we're using the app, we don't control the temperature. The app controls the temperature.
Yeah.
And so you just push next. Okay, so measure and add 2 tablespoons of canola oil to
Okay.
the skillet. Even though it's saying measure, we're not measuring.
All right. Measuring with our eyes.
Okay, so we did that. Next, dry the salmon. So we have some stuff here. We kind of dried it a little bit already, but you want to dry it so you get that really crispy skin. Okay, season the salmon. So I'll let you do it.
Okay.
we have our really awesome other smart equipment. It's the Food and Wine electric spice mills. We'll drop a link in the comments so that you can purchase them if you'd like. So we're seasoning the salmon. Kosher salt. So it actually tells you kosher salt and black pepper. I'm gonna hit next. Q is preheating the pan. So at this point, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kelsey, because you know a lot more about this than me, it knows the temperature of the pan. You could see it here. So I think I'm answering my own question. The pan is at 350 degrees Fahrenheit now. Well, 356, 61. And so once it knows that it's preheated, that's when it's gonna tell you to add the salmon.
So it's gonna be constantly talking to it, and it'll cue you each step when it's ready.
So when is it ready?
So when the circle completes.
The circle completes.
We're waiting for the circle. Yeah.
It's almost there. It looks like it's trying to get us to like 400 degrees, I'm gonna guess.
To really get
Nope, it's already at 404.
We're going
So
even
it's
higher.
heating up rather quickly, actually. I like that. But it tells you at the bottom what's next, the next thing you're gonna do. And saying next is that you're gonna add the salmon skin side down because we want that crispy salmon skin.
So close.
We're almost there. We're
very
trying not to like take forever, but it's not forever. We're just like, it feels like forever because we're on video. Okay, wait, please wait. Now, okay, add the salmon skin side down. Place 2 salmon fillets in the pan skin side down, making sure they are not touching. Okay.
Hear that sizzle.
Next step. Q is crisping the skin, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so we're gonna put this down. We're gonna let this go. It looks like it's gonna take about a minute or so. I don't know. We're gonna leave this here. I'm gonna hand it to Kelsey. We're gonna move on and we're gonna talk, while the salmon cooks, we're gonna move on and talk about another really smart burner. But it's important to note that the Hest Q app will actually notify you when it's time to do something else. So it'll like set an alarm, right?
Yes.
I don't know if we have the alarm on.
It has little push notifications. I've kept it on silent for the video, but it'll tell me and
we'll go at it that way. So when it tells us to do the next thing, Kelsey will stop me. So what we're talking about now is actually one of our favorite induction burners. We've used it on Mad Genius Live since we started the show. This is from Breville Polyscience. This is called the Control Freak. It's pretty popular. A lot of chefs use it nowadays. It's a really incredible induction burner. And it is, too, a smart induction burner. If you just look here, one thing I like about it is you'll notice it's a little bit bigger. I like that because you can actually put a really big pot on it. Or a really big skillet or something like that. But essentially, it works like a standard induction burner. You push the main button to start it. You know it's on because it has a light. But what's really different about this and what's really smart is that it has a digital display. So you can actually select your temperature by just turning this little dial. And the temperature that it reads at the bottom is actually the temperature that you're setting it to, and then the big number in red is actually the temperature that the pan is at. So because I'm poaching chicken, and the reason I'm poaching chicken is just because I wanted to do something that needed kind of a precise temperature, I have it set to about 165, 175, like a really low poaching temperature because I don't want to overcook the chicken. But another really, really cool thing about this Breville, the Control Freak by Breville, is that it has this probe thermometer, which you could see here. It attaches to the front. And what you could do is you can actually insert it right into your meat or your vegetables or whatever while it's cooking. Or you can insert it into oil if you're frying, or you can insert it directly into the cooking liquid if you're gonna poach or you're gonna kind of like do like an olive oil poached tuna, for example, or tuna confit. And you put it in there, and so that's the third temperature you read on here, and it actually lists what the internal temperature of the chicken is so that you don't overcook it.
which is really great. And we've also loved using it for things like caramel, or even like we were deep frying some choux pastry earlier, and it just, you know exactly what temperature you're cooking at.
I thought I had
steady.
some tongs. I do have some tongs.
There you go.
And so this chicken is at 160 degrees, which for boneless, skinless chicken breasts is totally fine, FYI. Forget what you've heard. But if I was cooking dark meat, let's say I was cooking chicken thighs or something like that, I would want to go to like 165 or even further to kind of braise it. I'm going to move this over here. But the great thing is, all I did was I added some broth or some water in here. I've added aromatics like ginger and scallion and star anise. And then I put the chicken in raw, put the little probe in there, and I let it cook. And then you know you can control the precise temperature of your liquid, but then you can also control the temperature of your protein. And I'm just gonna slice this, and you can see how hot and juicy it is in there. And this is like a really great way to cook anything from chicken to salmon or anything else that you kind of want to really kind of control the temperature that it's cooking to. So I'm just gonna put together a little bowl here. Not that you need to do this, but I figured since we're a cooking show, we should have some food in it. Here, okay, so here's a piece for you.
Thank you.
It's so delicious.
It's so juicy. Not dry at all. Love it.
And I'm gonna add some broth.
And this is particularly great if you like bought a really beautiful piece of tuna and you want to poach it, or you bought something nice for a dinner party and you want to make sure that it absolutely turns out perfectly. You're going to have control of every step.
It really is. And like I said, there's a reason we've been kind of using it on Mad Genius Live for so long. So this is just a really simple recipe. Like I said, I added some water in here, some salt, a little mirin, a little soy sauce, some sliced scallions, some sliced fresh ginger, and some star anise pods. And then I put the chicken in raw, which kind of also infused the broth. And now we have this, just kind of this really nice, simple brothy noodle thing happening over here. Put a little scallions on top, and then that's dinner or lunch. How are we on the Hest Q over
We have
here?
about 20 seconds before I'm going to flip the salmon. So what was really cool is it moved from crisping the salmon to cooking it. So it reduced the temperature of the pan to slow down the cooking a little bit so we can start
You can
cooking
see
through the
here.
center.
Let me hold it up. You can
and
see it
not
has about
overcooking it.
12 seconds left, 10, 9, 8. So to Kelsey's point, this before it said Q is crisping the skin, and now it says Q is cooking the salmon. Because if you remember, we wanted it to go medium rare.
Yeah.
So we're gonna wait. Okay, so flip the salmon. Look how easily it comes up. This is like the kind of amazing thing.
Do you see that? Beautiful.
I mean, the skin is crispy and like,
It's not sticking at all.
right. We had James Bricioni on the show a couple weeks ago, and one of the things that he talked about, he was making crispy snapper, and he talked about how leave your fish alone if it's skin side down. You'll know when it's ready to flip. In this case, we didn't even have to guess because the Hest Q, oh wait, shoot.
Next step.
I'm supposed to hit next step. So this is interactive as well.
Okay, so I'm going to add a little garlic.
Okay.
And then, can you hand me some thyme from the FarmShelf?
Oh yes. We have our FarmShelf thyme that Andrew and I
Beautiful.
harvested.
Infuse this oil.
So yeah.
It's nice and fresh. It's really tender thyme because it's hydroponic, so there's a lot of moisture in it.
Which is why it did that little frizzle sizzle. Okay, so we added the garlic, we added the thyme. Now it's saying to baste the salmon. So the app is actually giving you very specific instructions. And because you're basting it with fat, it still keeps the skin nice and crispy on the salmon. And so now Kelsey's basting it with this kind of garlic and thyme infused oil. This is a really smart way. I base most of my proteins. All right, so Kelsey is gonna keep cooking that. It has about a minute and a half left. I'm gonna move on and show you another really cool piece of equipment. So we talked about the Hest Q with the smart burner, the smart skillet, and the app. We've talked about the Control Freak by Breville Polyscience, which is one of our favorites. We've been using it on Mad Genius Live since we started. We made a really simple, very healthy, ready for spring and summer kind of rice noodle dish with poached chicken and some scallions. And now I'm gonna talk about a sous vide cooker. So this is the Food and Wine sous vide cooker and wine chiller. It's a really kind of brilliant, genius device for cooking sous vide in the sous vide style at home. When you talk about sous vide, it really means to cook under vacuum. But now when everyone talks about it for home cooking purposes, we talk about cooking in a water bath. So it used to be really hard to do at home because you had to have really big pieces of equipment. In fact, when I was in culinary school, I had bought one of the original Polyscience ones, and it was like $2,000. But now they're much more affordable. So this is the Food and Wine branded one that we actually developed with HSN. You could get, if you'd like to purchase one of these, we can drop the link in the comments if you're on Facebook, but we'll also have it all over our social media channels. And if you're tuning in, please hit us up with your questions or your comments using hashtag MadGeniusLive. Okay, so basically what you do here is, let me show you this. So this is our sous vide cooker and wine chiller because it has a couple different, it does a couple different things. And it's really simple to use. All you do is you select the temperature that you want your water bath to be at. In this case, I have it at 120 because I'm just holding the food, it's already cooked. But let's say you want to cook some steak to rare or whatever. You can cook it, set it to like 130 degrees. I'm just gonna leave it at 120. And then you can actually select the amount of time that you wanna cook it. In this case, we started it at 8 hours, so this has been in here for what, 3 hours or more, I think. And then you just hit go, and that's it. And then it literally cooks your food to the exact temperature that you set it at. And I wanna show you what that means. So I actually made roast beef.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Oh, look,
excited
your
about
salmon
this.
is done.
I just pulled the salmon. The app helpfully told me to remove the salmon, so I just slipped it out. And then it'll actually just ask if you want to make another batch, so you can keep practicing.
There you
keep
go.
making
You
more
could just
salmon.
keep making salmon.
But there's tons of recipes on the app. You can search by ingredient. You can search by like the type of meal you want to make. It's really fun and easy.
And we love it. So we love the Hest Q, we love the Breville Polyscience Control Freak, and we love our very own sous vide cooker and wine chiller. Like I said, so the whole point of cooking in this method is to cook something perfectly from edge to edge every single time. And that's why I chose to do roast beef here, because I really wanted to show you how this works. So all I did was I took, this is a beef eye round roast, which as you know is very lean, so you don't want to overcook it. I threw in some thyme, I threw in some salt and pepper just to kind of season it. Oops. And then, yes, the thyme from my FarmShelf. Thanks, Jen. Our producer's in my ear because I have my little bug. Oh, that's what I needed that. Okay. I needed it. But so basically I took a beef eye round roast. I put it into any old bag that you have. Use the freezer ones, they're sturdier. And then what you do is you actually lower it into the water, and that's called the water displacement technique. It actually, the pressure of the water pushes the air out, so you don't need a fancy vacuum sealer. We can actually, we'll try to drop a link into the comments where you can watch me doing it on Mad Genius Tips. We actually have a video for it, so we'll drop that in the comments as well. So I put it in there, seasoned salt and pepper, threw in some FarmShelf thyme, and then I let it go for overnight. So we cooked it overnight, and we basically have all these delicious beef juices that we're gonna serve with our sandwiches, and I wanna show you that after cooking overnight, we have like perfectly roasted beef, and it's really tender and it's really juicy because it retains all of that moisture and all the natural juices that it has.
And it's totally hands-off. You just
totally hands-off. There's that one phrase that I'm not allowed to say because I think it's trademarked.
But we all know.
But we all know that one. But basically what you do is you put it into your baggie, you lower it in, and then you kind of just walk away, and you can leave it all day. And because this sous vide cooker and wine chiller maintains a really precise temperature, you can pretty much leave it there indefinitely. I mean, you don't want to leave it too long, but you can pretty much leave it there overnight. It's like, I like to say, when I talk to people about this, I like to kind of say it's the future of slow cooking.
Yeah.
Because it is slow cooking, but it's like the future. So look at this beautiful beef. Just pile it up. This is like my DIY sous vide French dip, which we're just gonna pile it onto some toasted bread. Got that beautiful meat, it's so beautiful. I might throw a little crunchy sea salt on top, maybe even just a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. And then, of course, because you have all these delicious juices, you could just pour them right into a side bowl, and then you have a French dip. I mean, it's kind of incredible. And so obviously this is the Food and Wine bread and one. There are other versions out there, one of which is the Nomaku, which is made by my friend Lisa. But one thing I wanted to point out was, actually, this is a really great book. It's called Sous Vide at Home. It's by Lisa Fetterman. She is like genius. She knows everything about cooking sous vide at home, and it's a really great resource. I think we'll try to drop a link into the comments as well. But she has a lot of really great recipes for home cooking. So
There's also a ton of really good vegetable recipes in here because with sous vide, meat often gets all the attention, and rightfully so. It cooks meat beautifully, but it makes the most like perfectly tender, not overcooked, not mushy vegetables. It really
Like
develops
carrots.
the sugar. Oh, the
the
carrots
carrots
are so good.
are so good. Like you basically sous vide carrots with like what, butter and thyme?
Butter and thyme, again.
And it is so good. But you could do potatoes. You could do anything.
Yeah.
It's so, so good. Oh my God, we didn't even eat our FarmShelf lettuce.
Oh, we have to.
Let's make a little salad. So I'm gonna cut a little piece of this. I'm using Food and Wine's little hollow chef's knife. Here, I'll give that for you.
Thank you.
You could try your delicious roast beef.
I might make a little lettuce wrap.
Oh yeah, and we cooked this to medium, but
You could do medium.
You could do rare, you could do medium well, although I don't recommend it. It's so juicy. And what else? So, oh, I didn't even mention what else our device does.
Yeah.
It's not only a sous vide cooker, it's a wine chiller. So basically, what you do is you take the stick, you put it into an ice bath, so a big container of ice and water. And of course, I'm using this, oh my God, I poached salmon. What the heck am I doing? I'm like losing my mind.
There's too much good food.
There's too much good food going on here. But you basically take the sous vide cooker, you place it into an ice bath, and then you just push the chill button. And what that does is it doesn't heat the water at all, it just circulates it. And we actually did a side-by-side test in the kitchen here where we started with a regular ice bath, and then we put the sous vide cooker in another, and we timed it to see after 30 minutes which bottle of wine was colder. And believe it or not, circulating the ice bath cooled the bottle down in like a third of the time.
Yeah.
So rather than 30 minutes, it took like 10 minutes to get it really cold. So it's a really, really smart feature. So aside from beef, you could do anything. I also poached some salmon. Oops, it's so tender it's falling apart. There we go. And of course, because we're Mad Genius Live, these are all super Mad Genius. Everything from the Hest Q to the Breville to the sous vide wine cooker. Sous vide cooker and wine chiller.
Cook with wine, but
yes.
maybe don't cook your wine.
And we have one other thing that we're just gonna throw in at the end because we just got it and we're really excited about it. I'm gonna let Kelsey talk about it and then we're gonna wrap it up. But check this out, it's a really smart, here, I'll hold it. I'll be Vanna again.
Thank you. So
it seems a little complicated, but it's not, I promise.
We've been having a pretty wintry spring here in New York, and since it's May and it's almost summer, I can't wait for grilling season. And this is just my absolute favorite thermometer. So it's the ThermoWorks Smoke, and it has a dual probe, and you can also attach other thermometers to it.
So one probe, two probes.
And the really special thing about it is for everyone out there who's really into barbecue, this thermometer can actually temp your meat and your pit at the same time. So it's one of the few that can temp the air, which is so cool. And it has this like wonderful little wireless device, so you can set up your grill or set up your barbecue, whatever you're cooking, and walk away and go have a beer with your friends or go in the kitchen and prep your sauces.
And it's really smart, and like just to drive the point home, the fact that it has like the two probes is really, really cool because a lot of times you either had to pick and choose, or you had to have two. So this is a really great, and there's a few versions out there. I think Williams-Sonoma has a version, or there's quite a few places that have them, so check them out. We hope you learned something today on Mad Genius Live. It was a little out of the box kind of episode for us because we didn't just cook a recipe, but we showcased all these really smart pieces of kitchen equipment. So check the comments. Hit us up if you have any questions. If you get any of these things and you love them, hit us up using the hashtag Mad Genius Live. And Kelsey and I will see you later.
Bye.